You know that feeling, right? That little nagging worry that your phone is kind of melting your brain? That all the endless scrolling is making it impossible to really focus, to think deep thoughts anymore? Yeah, it's a feeling so many of us have. A constant low-level hum of anxiety about our digital lives. Well, let's dive into this. Because what if we've been asking the wrong question the whole time?
This is the big one, isn't it? It's the question that kind of haunts us when we close like a dozen tabs or look up from our phone and realize a whole hour just vanished. It's this deep fear that we're somehow trading away a core part of ourselves to the machine. You know, the writer Nicholas Carr just nailed this feeling when he wrote, "I'm not thinking the way I used to think." So many of us just nodded and said, "Yes, that's it." It really feels like our focus is shattered, you know? Like our ability to just sit and think in a straight line has been replaced by this frantic, jumpy skimming. It's a really powerful and honestly a very relatable fear.
Okay, but here's the pivot. What if focusing on what we're losing is actually blinding us to everything we're gaining? What if, instead of wrecking our minds, our digital tools are changing them in ways that are actually making us smarter? Now, that is the provocative idea we're going to explore today, and it comes from the work of Clive Thompson. All right, first things first, let's tackle the biggest fear head on. This idea that our tech is literally, physically messing with our brains. So the fear is that we're rewiring ourselves to be permanently distracted. But the reality, well, it's more about trade-offs. Think about it like this. Living in a big city, studies show it actually raises your stress hormones. It's true, but we accept that downside because the upside, all the connections, the creative energy, the opportunities, it's just huge. Thompson argues that our digital lives work the same way. Yeah, we put up with the mental chaos of distraction because the benefit of being connected is, well, it's just that powerful. And that brings us to the core concept of this whole explainer. It's this new form of hybrid intelligence. It's not about human versus machine anymore. It's about human plus machine. It's called the Centaur. So let's break down the team members here. On one hand, you've got the human brain. We're amazing at getting the gist of things, at creative leaps, at strategy, at just getting people. But our memory for perfect detail, it's notoriously bad. Thompson calls it a game of telephone with oneself, which is perfect. Every time we remember something, we kind of rebuild it, and we often fudge the details. On the other hand, you have the computer. It has perfect, flawless recall. It never, ever forgets a fact. But it has zero intuition, no creativity. So here's the magic. When you put these two together, you get what's called Centaur intelligence. It's a partnership, right? The human is the pilot, steering with strategy and creative ideas. And the computer is the engine, providing perfect data and massive calculations. And the result? It's a new kind of intelligence that's way more powerful than either the human or the computer could ever be alone. Now, this is where it gets really cool, because you can see this play out in the real world with chess. Back in '97, everyone freaked out when the supercomputer Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov, the best player on the planet. But what happened next is the real story. Kasparov himself started playing with computers. And get this, by 2005, in a freestyle tournament where anyone could team up with any computer, the winners weren't some grandmaster with a supercomputer. Nope, they were two amateur players with three regular old laptops. Their process, their collaboration beat raw brain power. And this is exactly what those amateur chess players figured out. Kasparov himself said it best. It's not about being the smartest person in the room anymore. It's about being the best Formula One driver of your technology. It's about knowing your tools, knowing when to trust the machine, when to override it, and how to use it to push your own thinking to a whole new level. So the takeaway here is massive. When we let our phones and computers handle the boring job of memorizing facts, we aren't getting dumber. We're doing something really strategic. We're freeing up our own mental hard drive to do the stuff only we can do, connecting the dots, seeing the big picture, and coming up with creative ideas. All right, so that Centaur model is about how we work as individuals. But our tools have also unlocked something else, something huge, the power of thinking together, out in the open. I mean, just the scale of this is hard to wrap your head around. Look at this number, over 500 million tweets every single day. It's part of what Thompson calls a foaming Niagara of writing. There has never been more public expression in the entire history of humanity. It's wild. And all this public writing has a really powerful psychological effect. It's called the audience effect. You know how this works, right? The moment you know someone else might read what you're writing, even if it's just a possibility, it forces you to sharpen your thinking. You can't just hand-wave your way through an ideal like you can inside your own head. The simple act of trying to explain something to others makes your own idea better. And here is a perfect real-world example of this in action. The story of Ushahidi. It starts with one person, an activist named Oreo Kahlo, who blogs about a huge problem. But because she was thinking in public, an audience of tech experts read her post and said, hey, we can help with that. So they connected, they collaborated, and together they built a tool that's now used all over the world to map crises. That's collective intelligence. It's a solution that just flat out could not exist without this kind of public thinking. And of course, the most famous example of this is Wikipedia. I mean, come on, everyone dismissed it at first, right? Thought it was a joke. But then a major study in the journal Nature found that it was nearly as accurate as the Encyclopedia Britannica. It was proved that a massive, messy, public collaboration could actually create something that rivaled the most trusted top-down expert sources. Amazing. So, okay, we're thinking differently as individuals, we're thinking differently as groups, but the actual tools we use for thinking are changing too. Being smart isn't just about reading and writing words on a page anymore. Check this out. This is from the 2008 election. Using a simple online tool called Wordle, anyone, and I mean anyone, could instantly see the main themes of the candidates' speeches. For McCain, the big words were oil and energy. For Obama, children and Americans. This is a whole new literacy. The ability to see patterns in data at a glance. It's a skill that used to belong only to professional statisticians. We're also all becoming incredibly literate with images. Remember this? When the blog Boing Boing saw this totally bonkers photoshopped ad from Ralph Lauren, this one comment just became a rallying cry. We now have a public that's constantly on the lookout, holding advertisers and the media accountable for this kind of digital fakery. And this new image literacy has real political power. When a Russian newspaper tried to smear the activist Alexei Navalny with a super obvious fake photo, the internet didn't just notice it. The networked public worked together like digital detectives and forensically proved it was a fake in a matter of hours. That kind of media analysis used to take experts weeks. Now it happens in an afternoon. So basically, our whole cognitive toolkit is getting an upgrade. We're all learning how to read data visualizations, to write through memes, and to analyze pictures and videos with a much more critical eye. These are brand new ways of reading and writing the world, and they're letting us see patterns that were totally invisible before. Okay, so this is all fascinating. But what does it mean for you and me, on a Tuesday afternoon? How do we actually live this way and thrive in this new cognitive world? Well, Thompson lays out a few key strategies. And this isn't about throwing your phone in the river. It's about mastering it. We have to actually learn the skill of managing distraction. We have to actively fight against our filter bubbles by seeking out different kinds of people and ideas. We have to learn to be a centaur, to really drive our tools. And this is a big one. We have to participate. Don't just be a consumer. Create something, share an idea, join the chat. And maybe most important of all, remember to sip, don't gulp. The river of information is always flowing. You can just take what you need and then walk away. In the end, this is maybe the most powerful shift of all. For all of human history, we were limited by how hard it was to find answers. But now we have the most powerful answer-finding machines ever created, just sitting in our pockets. So the challenge has changed. It's not about finding the answer anymore. The real challenge and the real opportunity is to use these incredible new tools to start thinking of bigger, better, and much, much harder questions.